we can go through later on. That's it. And so we get into colorings, additives, flavoring, preservatives, fast, refined, fried foods. Fried foods, the worst thing you can do is what's it fried in? Hydrogenated oil. What's that going to cause immediately? Cancer in the body. Creates cancer. All the fried foods. Caffeine. Do I have to say anything about caffeine? Those of you want to tell me that, oh, I know it's not that bad. It is horrible. It is a drug. It gets into the body. Not only does it affect your adrenals, it creates toxicity in you at a cellular level. It also takes your pH in a second. We're going to show you. It brings your pH down. When you bring your pH down, you create an acid environment. What grows in an acid environment? Cancer and diseases. Refined sugar, table salt, and white foods. Table salt, never. We use sea salt. Never use table salt. Table salt creates an acid environment, which creates what? Cancer in your body, viruses grow in that. And white foods. Nothing white. You touch nothing white. Maybe except for cauliflower, you touch nothing white. It is glue in your body, and it's full of sugar. There's no carbohydrates we eat except for what? The only carbs that we want to eat, or at least the only carbs that we're going to eat more of is what?
Fruit and vegetables. Fruits
and vegetables. More vegetables than fruits. The dangers of dairy. Humans can't break it down. It destroys the immune system. It's full of antibiotics, which cause what? Cancer. It's full of drugs and hormones and bacteria. It's full of hormones. You will like it the other kind, that doesn't have any hormones in it. It doesn't matter. You can't digest milk that's been pasteurized. If you can get some unpasteurized raw milk that was created for us to drink, remember that if man touches it, he screwed it all up. There's nothing in it. Because here's the big thing. Another major cause of cancer is what? The lack of calcium in the body. The body needs calcium not to get cancer. So a lot of people go, well, I'll drink milk. The problem is all milk that's been pasteurized takes what out of the bones? Calcium, because it's full of protein, too much protein. It actually takes more calcium because it's so phosphorus. So you're creating a cancerous environment. Plus, when you drink milk, because what lives inside of milk? It's full of what? Pus particles, bacteria. That's why you can't leave it out. It stinks, it's rotten. You're going to put that in your body. So if you put lots of, and now you go, well, it's good bacteria. No, it's not good bacteria. It's not good bacteria. It's been heated. And when something's heated, it doesn't create good bacteria. So now you put it in your body, what does your brain do to bad bacteria? Attacks it. That's why most people, when they put this in their bodies, they get diarrhea. If you give it to a baby who's young enough, who's never had it introduced, they don't know what it is, their body flushes it out with diarrhea. That's those of you who are lactose intolerant, thank God, because your body's smart enough to flush it out. That's all it is. And so it's full of antibiotics, it's full of drugs. You're not getting the natural kind anyway, it's full of hormones. And what do we notice now? When we have more hormones, what do we create? Cancer. That's why we see more breast cancer than ever before, because what's in all of our foods and all our milk and everything? Hormones are in everything. And then when a girl turns 15, she has a little bit of hormonal issues because she's been on hormones or taking hormones her whole life. Do you know you take hormones your whole life? Do we have an infertility problem now or what?
Yeah.
Like if anyone ever know anyone who didn't have an infertility problem, you all know someone now. Yet when you were younger, you didn't know someone. That's because we're taking so much hormones. It's like you're literally taking birth control every day when you eat some of these foods. Like that's what it's doing to your hormones. And so now, if you take hormones, what does it cause? Cancer. You're taking them every day, everything you eat and everything you do in your body. So now this girl turns 15. Now most of them are having their periods at 9 because they're on so much hormones. So now a young girl has a period at 9. She's having cramping. She can't take it. What do you put her on? The pill, which is more hormones, and then right inside of the birth control pills, the number one side effect is what? The birth control pills? One of the side effects is breast cancer. Right there, it says right in it, because breast cancer is hormone sensitive. So now you have a girl who's been on hormones her whole life, then you put her on birth control pills, now she's 28 years old, and what does she get? Cancer. And you go, oh, I wonder how that happened. We caused it, we created it. And so it's full of hormones, it's full of bacteria. Milk contains the protein lactoalbumin, which has been identified the key factor in causing diabetes. If you get diabetes, what are they going to pump into your body then? Insulin. What does insulin do to your body? It destroys the body, ages the cells, and you start creating cancer. It destroys the kidneys. The only reason that people with diabetes don't get cancer fast enough is they die of what usually? Their kidneys shut down. And so the bacteria milk grows in the human host, eventually results in irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease. So now you can't digest food. If you have irritable bowel or Crohn's, what do you take now? You take anti-inflammatories and drugs all the time, and what are you creating in your body? Cancer. Dangers of sugar. Sugar is a known toxin. It is toxic. When we get done with this talk, if any of you are still thinking that you can eat sugar, Now you're gonna see why cancer loves sugar. Sugar causes severe acidity in the body, which we're going to get into in a second. Severe acidity in the body. Cancer cells love sugar. Cancer cells have 8 times more receptor cells for capturing sugar than healthy cells. Does anyone know why? Why do cancer cells have more receptor cells than a healthy cell? What does cancer live on? Sugar. Fermentation. Does anyone know what fermentation means? What does fermentation mean?
Decay.
What's that?
Decay.
Fermentation means, yeah, it's what'd you say? Sugar to alcohol. It's when you have a sugary environment, fermentation happens, and what sets in? Cancer sets in. That cancer cells can't live without sugar. So they literally, you're gonna hear in a second when I really get into what cancer is. A cancer cell is so smart, just like your other cells, and it actually has 8 receptor sites. Does anyone know what that means? That means it needs sugar, so it has to open up these little sites so it can go in and pull sugar like this, so it can do what? Multiply and grow and replicate itself fast enough. If you want to stop cancer immediately, what do you have to stop putting in your body? Because what will you do? You'll starve it. The key to cancer is starving this, obtaining it and then starving it. That's the key to this right now. It's starving it. It has to have it. That's why you see every research study that says sugar is like a fuel, putting gasoline on a fire. It's fuel to a fire, and it's fuel to cancer. It's fuel. It can't live without sugar. It can't live unless there's a fermentation in your body. Literally, you eat sugar, and those cancer cells will take it and grab it in and live and start to multiply fast. And so, normal cells use oxygen for energy. Cancer cells use fermentation for energy. Wow, is that powerful? Is that enough right there to understand that a normal cell uses oxygen? So when you have more oxygen in your body, what happens? Normal cells expand. When you lose your oxygen, what happens to normal cells? They turn cancerous, because cancerous cells, if you put oxygen into the body, what happens to a cancer cell? It can't live. Cancer cells don't like oxygen. They like oxidation. They like when there's no oxygen in the body, they love sugar and acid. And that's how it survives and thrives. No processed carbs. High carbs cause your body to produce a lot of insulin, which decreases blood sugar. You end up with a low blood sugar crash. As soon as your blood sugar level crashes from eating high carbs and lots of sugar, what kicks in? Cortisol. And what's one of the side effects to cortisol? Does anyone know? It destroys the immune system, which creates what? Cancer. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And if you are stressed, what do you create in your body? Cancer. Again, everything I said creates cancer. Why do everybody has cancer? Cortisol is a stress hormone. The problem is, as soon as cortisol goes up, the body doesn't like cortisol up, so what does it kick in? Insulin. Insulin is a deadly, deadly hormone because it ages your cells faster and turns them carcinogenic faster and cancerous. Cortisol increases an enzyme, PLA2, which increases inflammation. That's the problem. When you eat sugar, cortisol goes up, inflammation goes up, and inflammation happens. What is cancer? It's an abnormal toxic cell that's what? Inflamed. It's an inflammatory cell. So again, what happens when you eat sugar? A cancer cell inflames. Your normal cells inflame and turn what? Cancerous. 98% of every disease you'll ever see in the world or in history is caused from inflammation. Inflammation. If you bring inflammation down, what happens to your diseases? They what? They get better. They reverse. You have to bring inflammation down. You have to stop that. It decreases your immune system, which leads to cancer and other diseases when you eat sugar and high carbs. Cancer cannot survive in a properly functioning, detox, oxygenated cell. It's impossible. Detox cell. So if you have sugar in your body, you make the cell toxic, you fill it up, it inflames, and creates into cancer. Essential fatty acids. We talked about that in a second. The cell walls, your cell walls, so the cell, we're going to get into what the cell looks like. So every single one of your cells, which looks like, every one of your cells, which looks just like this, has a cell wall on it. The cell wall needs essential fatty acids. If there isn't enough essential fatty acids, oxygen gets restricted, the cell becomes cancerous. It needs the cell wall. The cell walls need essential fatty acids so that oxygen and nutrients can enter the cell and create healthy cells. Has to have essential. You need EFAs, essential fatty acids, 3, 6, and 9. The good fats, not the bad fats. It needs the good fats every single time. Oxygen. Now listen to this. These are some of the top